Hey, lovely people. All right, so I have to make this very, very quick because I have to go somewhere and I have to like do my makeup and stuff. Have on a little bit, but I need to I gotta do my eye makeup, my blush, all that good stuff. So, anywho, so the topic of this video is really just about managers. And the reason I'm talking about it is because I have heard so many managers talk about their difficulty in really finding the right candidate, and when it comes to interviewing, asking the right questions that really get them the information they need to know whether a person is really going to be a match for them, their team, and the job at hand. Like, will they really do the job? Can they not only talk the talk but actually walk the walk? Can they do the work? So we're going to just have a quick discussion about some of my ideas as a recruiter, having worked with so many different managers on interviewing and thinking through what types of questions to ask, and also what type of things to actually tell people that are interviewing, because there's also issues on the other front where you have people that interview with a manager, they get a job, and then the job really isn't as it came across during the interview. It's not really what the manager explained it to be. So the first thing that I would recommend to managers is to actually be very clear about the job. So tell the good, the bad, and the ugly about a job. Tell what it is and what it isn't. So this way you can upfront get this person to really understand what they will actually be doing in the role and what your expectations will be. Where I see them mix up is when, and I see two people in here, let me know if you can hear me. I know I pushed this video back a few times, so I'm glad there's someone in here. So if you're not clear on what the role is and what the expectations are, why would you be surprised if you hire someone and maybe they don't meet your expectations, or they're not really doing the job, or they're not happy in the job? I've actually had this where a manager had told me that they hired someone and they just they just weren't happy. It's not that they couldn't do the job or anything like that. It wasn't like they're a bad person, but the job was just not really for them. And so as a manager, you want to, as you're interviewing different employees, you want to be able to explain what the job is and what it is not. Okay, let me just do an audio test since no one said. And thank you for the comments on my last video. I have been checking those out. Let me see. Because I didn't have YouTube up at all, because I always have audio issues. Let's see. And sorry if you're hitting the replay and I'm doing this. I just want to make sure the audio is going. Test. Okay, cool. Perfect. It's on there. Hey, okay. So audio is good. All right, so be clear about expectations. Now, this is the next one. And this is going to be beneficial for someone that is getting interviewed by a manager or the actual manager. And it's really just focusing on what's actually important. So you don't have to ask silly questions. And if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you may have heard me talk about a scenario I had where I was interviewing for a position. I think it was an HR manager role, and ended up getting an offer for that job. However, the highlight of that whole conversation of my final interview with the owner was that he asked me about my religion, which really has nothing to do with the job at hand. And it can put a company into some legal territory that's not great, right? It can be very discriminatory if you're asking questions that are not relevant to the job, in terms of, if someone's married or not. Does someone have children? What is their religion, right? So is it relevant to the job? Is it really important? And the reason I say you have to focus on what's important, and hello, Swoop, welcome in. Is it important is because typically interviews are maybe 30 minutes to an hour, whether it's virtual or it's on site, face-to-face, right? So you only have a limited amount of time. And so you're going to have to make a decision likely after that meeting. So you really want to focus on what is really important to you. So getting into that, the questions that I always recommend now that I've recruited for some years is behavior-based interviews. And I actually posted the question out there on my community tab, and I asked folks, what is a behavior-based interview? And I got some interesting responses. Nothing quite hit what behavior-based interviews were for. I think I asked, what are behavior interviews for? What's the value of them? Well, the reason people will ask behavior-based interviews, actually, it says it kind of in the name. And the reason is past behavior often is a great way to tell how someone's future behavior will be. So behavior-based interviews are asking people to share about experiences that they've had in the past. So for example, Swoop. So I may ask Swoop, hey Swoop, tell me about a time or you dealt with a very difficult customer at work. And Swoop would have to tell me, well, there was this time, right? And they would have to tell me what was happening. And they would have to tell me, Swoop would tell me about her actions that she took and how did everything turn out. That's something that's really valuable because you can actually hear firsthand and you can get really detailed in that and get more insight from them on how they really go about doing something versus, hey, what would you do if, Swoop, what would you do? Well, if it's a what would you do question, I can just kind of make up the ideal scenario, right? Well, this is what I would do and be very cookie cutter and say exactly what the interviewer wants. But if you do a behavior-based question, you can ask follow-up questions, really get some specific details that folks can't just typically make up on the spot, right? So they're very useful. So you want to ask those type of questions and also in that really get a handle on their proof of work. What work did they actually do, right? Hello, Toy Weezy, or Tay Weezy, or Toy Weezy? Tay, hello Tay, welcome in. Okay, so we talked about being clear about what the role is, because if you're not clear in your expectations for the role, that's how you make those hires that are either unhappy when they get into the role or they can't actually do the job because you didn't tell them what the job actually was. And managers really do this. Tell me if you've had that type of experience before with a manager, or if you were a manager and you had a scenario where you weren't really, full on about the good, bad, and ugly about a job and they got into the role and they were confused, right? We talked about focusing on what's important, and then we talked about behavior-based interviews. What are they really used for? What's the value of them? And the value is you get to really hear examples from a person, and they can be really tough to answer. That's why I made a video about them. They can be tough to answer, but the reason is we want to understand, what is your past behavior? How have you handled certain scenarios so that we can kind of estimate, okay, well, you've done this and this and this before in the past. This is how you handled that situation. So it's likely I can kind of estimate that you would do this in the future when you join my company, especially if it's a good thing. Now, there are some people that answer that question and it's like, ooh, you handled it how? Okay, well, don't call us, we're going to call you. Those scenarios, right? But normally folks can be prepared and answering those questions in the right way and showing how great they are and how great they've handled situation in the past. Hello, Pow Pow. Okay, Tay Weezy. Okay, Tay Weezy, I got it. Pow Pow, welcome. Hello. How are you? You're saying hello to everybody. Okay, so the other thing I want to talk about is something that is really beneficial for managers. I don't believe everyone necessarily has to ask about this, but it's, learning what someone's work style is, right? And so you want to do that, and you also want to talk about your management style. How are you as a manager? You want to be very open about that because some people's management style does not mesh well with certain people. So you have to give folks the information that they need to even figure out if they want to move forward with the job, if they were to be extended an offer, right? And then also you want to understand, how are they typically working? Are they more autonomous? Do they like to work only by themselves? Or do they like to work in a team? you should be asking those questions, because if you know your job is very intensive with collaborating with different teams and you're constantly talking to different people, and this person says, hey, I normally work autonomously, kind of introvert, I don't really like to work with too many people, I like to have a small team. And if you have a huge team, right off the bat that that may be something that you want to dig into more. You want to talk to them. You don't want to make the assumption that, okay, they're just not going to be able to do it, but you want to talk to them about it. And it may just be the case that this, the role that you have may not match what they're looking for, right? The other thing is, if you have someone that loves working and collaborating with different teams, right? And you have a job where they're not going to be working with teams. They're going to be at their computer by themselves. Maybe they'll see you, maybe they'll see one other person. And so you want to be able to understand what their work style is, and what the job entails, right? Does it really match? Okay, so the next one I wanted to highlight is just about the behavior-based questions, kind of tying it in. You should be asking behavior-based questions that really dig into how they work with different people, whether that is customers, clients, different team members, because it's going to happen. There's going to be some type of dispute. They're either going to have a dispute with a colleague, a client is going to be disgruntled, a customer is going to be disgruntled, and you really do want to understand how they react in those moments. So you want that to be a behavior-based type of question. It's nice to see you as well, Pow Pow. You're saying you're good? I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Happy Sunday to you. And I'm at 11 minutes, so I've just got a few more minutes for questions. Let me know if you have any questions about, when thinking about a manager interviewing, what type of things should the manager really be saying during those interviews? So this is the other thing I want to just highlight. With managers, I think it's really important to also have someone on your team within the interview process. I don't believe that only the manager should talk with a candidate and then just make the decision. I think it's really good to get a perspective of someone else on your team, someone that is going to be working directly with this person, because you as the manager, okay, sure, maybe you will work with them, but most likely you're going to be delegating a lot of tasks, and they're going to be on a day-to-day basis working with other people on your team. So you ideally want to understand how someone else on your team who's going to work with them directly feels, and you want to get that feedback on whether, one, they feel they can do the job because they're in the midst of everything. Sometimes managers, they feel like they can really assess someone and whether they can do the job, but they really can't, because, well, the manager, oftentimes you're not doing the work, you're delegating, you're managing budgets, you're project managing, you're doing all this maybe high level tasks, but you're not actually in a nitty gritty doing the work. So you need someone that can come in, really assess, okay, is this person just giving you buzzwords, or can they really do the job at hand? If you can't have them within the process, then you need to get questions from them. Like, hey, what questions would you ask? What would you want to hear from someone that would show you they can do the job with you? And that can be really beneficial. Thank you, Pow Pow, for the thumbs up. Hey, Ted. Oh, Ted just came in here. You guys are watching the game? Okay, listen. I'm going to go play. I'm playing golf. play golf, not real golf, with someone, and then having dinner. So I'm at 13 minutes. Any questions about interviewing for managers? I just want to give time for that, for any questions. And again, thank you guys. Thank you everyone who looked at the video from Saturday. I will be doing more reaction videos. I'm working on another reaction video that I'm going to have. This time it's going to be about women. So I will be asking, you'll see some questions about women throughout the week, next week. So sorry, I'm trying to get something sticky off my hands. But you will have some different questions that come through, and it will be to lead up to another video that I am in the process of editing right now. But it is definitely focused on women. So I don't know, I'm looking at some of the comments on the other video, and I'm like, I'm enjoying a lot of them. Even one that wasn't super, I don't know if they got the point. I think they kind of just focused in on themselves, but it's interesting. So thank you, Pow Pow. Thank you, Ted. Thank you for coming in here. Tay, thank you. And I think Swoop was like the first one in here. So thank you, Swoop. I appreciate you. I'm trying to lightly, very gently touch my um, phone. Ted says playing golf when the Cowboys are playing in Dallas. Listen, uh, listen. I will represent the Cowboys. I'll wear whatever. But I have not even gone to a Cowboys game, so I need to fix that. I honestly, until you said that, I didn't know they were playing. I'm not even gonna lie. Did not even know they were playing today. But Tayweezy says, Jessica, how to teach me in playing golf. Listen, I don't even know. So this will be interesting. This person I'm going with is going to have to teach me. But it's play golf. It's play golf. It's not me going out to golf course like the real stuff where you have to have a caddy and all that stuff. So it's not going to be anything like that. Hello, Edward. Shout out to Edward. I always got to represent my members. Thank you so much for being a member. Honestly, Edward and King of Kill and Barry and KB. Who else? I have some other members. I'm like blanking on some of them. I think Miss T, Miss Queen. Lord, she has a really long name. Miss Queen T in the building. I think that's her name. The members, you guys keep me going sometimes because sometimes with YouTube, I don't know if some of you are YouTube creators. So I know Pow, you're not a creator, but sometimes with YouTube, it just gets some of the videos we do, it's work. Like you're recording for those that are actually on camera, you're recording. And you know how it is when you're like looking back at the video, you're like, I don't like this, I have to re-record it. You're editing that video, you're cutting clips, and you're creating thumbnails and tags and all of this. And for me, I had to remember, okay, why am I doing this? Well, I want to get certain messages out. I want to talk to people and I want to give information like this, right? Job related. And I also want to be able to speak my mind about other social topics. So my members though, they really keep me going, keep me motivated to continue making videos. So I appreciate you so much. Tay says, Jessica, what's your favorite? I am not into football. I'm not into football. In my hometown, Missouri, we didn't have a football team. We still don't. We had one for like when I was a child, and they went away. So we don't have a football team. But I'm trying to think of what would be my favorite football team. This is probably going to sound bad, but probably the Patriots, only because normally, with games, they were typically doing really, really well. And so I always just say, oh, I want them to win just because, but I don't have a dog in this fight. Like not at all. Pal says, yes, I'm just a trouble creator, not a content creator. Love that. We love you, Pal. We love you, Pal. You can create all the trouble that you want. You can. You're a lot of fun. I love your conversations. Definitely, if you haven't watched the last video I did, take a peep at it, and then we'll have another conversation. I think will also be an interesting topic, and I'm just hoping to get into the mentality of some of you and hear your perspective. I don't post my videos in a way that says, hey, I'm absolutely right in everything that I say, but I am going to give my opinion. I think there are certain universal laws that are right, but I'm always happy to hear. Avatar 2 answered all of your questions on a father's job to protect. I haven't seen Avatar 2. It looks good. I was trying to go see it with a friend, with a girlfriend, and she turned me down. So I'll have to get someone else to go with me. Coming to the Steelers nation. I mean, listen, I'll root for them. If you want me to root for them, I'll root for them. But I'm in Dallas now, so I feel like I have to root for the Cowboys, right? I'll be loyal to where I'm at, I also live in New York, so I'm not rooting for their team. What is it, the New York Giants? I'm not rooting for them. Also, FIFA World Cup final was today. Argentina won, just so you know. Oh, well, thank you for the information. Listen, Y'all know I'm not into sports. The only time I get into sports is when I'm talking about Brett Favre and his shenanigans. That's the only time I get into sports. I'm like, oh, when they're doing some sketchiness, when they're doing scams and stuff. Papa says, yeah, I was cheering for Argentina today. The French, I'm not going to say that word, but I know what you're saying, ended up roasted. Really? Interesting. Okay, well, congratulations to Argentina. That's exciting. All right. Well, this was a good conversation. You know, I love chatting with everybody. Pal Pal, it's always a pleasure for you to come in. Ted always has something interesting to share as well. So, with that, any other questions before I wrap this thing up? Because we're right at 20 minutes, which is a little longer than I thought it was going to go. But yeah, I feel like I'm put together, but I need to change. I think I need to change outfits. I need to change outfits too. And I gotta, do some to the face. Gotta do some blush and some eye. Like, look at my eyes, y'all. I need some, I gotta get some shadow going on these eyes, on these lids. Okay. Some eyeliner, some shadow, some blush, all of that. All of that. Edward says the Bengals, the Buccaneers are playing today. So everyone's playing today? Wow. Well, I mean, it is Sunday. It is Sunday. It's football Sunday. All right, y'all. Well, I'm going to close it out. Thank you all again for being here. Their nickname is the Roosters. Right. I know what you're saying, Pow Pow. I knew what you were saying. I just was like, in America, and on YouTube, there's certain things you can't say. So I already, listen, between TikTok and YouTube, they are not playing around. Oh, Edward, thank you. Please do thumbs up the video. Share the live if you would like to, if you think the information shared would be useful to other people. But yes, please do like the video. That, is YouTube, y'all. That is what YouTube uses to share it. They're not going to share it unless you like it. So I appreciate y'all again. Have a great Sunday, and I will see y'all on another video. Bye, lovely people.